Hello everybody, welcome to Nintendo Power Block here on Boss Rush Games. I'm your host, then nice and excited Eddie V. Joining me, it's always, is the devastating Dungeoneer himself, David Laxby. I'm sorry.
You all good? Hey everybody, happy to be here tonight.
And the PC Muscle Race from Crossroads, this is LeRon Dawkins.
Hey everybody, how's it going?
How are you guys? How are you doing?
You know what? Like David said earlier, it's a Monday.
Sure.
It's a Monday.
Well, yeah, I had the day off, and when I get to what we've been playing, man, there's a particular game that I am not feeling, even though it's okay. And it's nothing Nintendo related. I just don't think it's a good game. I think it's kind of a blend, but I'll get to that.
Is it a game? Is it a game you just released the review for?
No, not that one.
Okay.
That review is out, and I'll plug that a little bit later. I beat that. That one is. I gave that one that rating, so that one is good.
Okay.
So
okay.
Where
I was just curious.
But we're going to get into some quick housekeeping. This is episode 232 of Nintendo Power Block Podcast. Each and every week we come together to talk about games and everything we love about them with our friends. You can join us live on Monday at 8:30 p.m. Eastern Time on twitch.tv/BossRushGames Live and be a part of the conversation. But if you can't join us live, no big deal. You can head over to youtube.com/BossRushGames and BossRushGames.com to watch the show or listen on your podcast service of choice. Remember to subscribe, follow, rate, and review wherever you consume us. It helps us out with discoverability, and check out our family of shows wherever you listen to your podcast. And also, everybody join us on our Boss Rush Games on Discord, where we talk about snacks, general conversations. You will find all the shows there and more. So, you guys, you know it's my favorite part of the show to get into. Yes, everybody, of course, it is Nintendo. And LeRon, we're going to start with you. What's been your Nintendo?
Currently, well, me and my roommate, we went to Costco today, and we did a Costco run, and my God, I don't do the Costco runs that often, so I forget how expensive Costco can be sometimes. So yeah, after he and I spending a combined $367 at Costco, like I have all sorts of stuff. But currently, what I'm throwing down on is like, this one is empty. This is not the one I ate today, but it's but I'm throwing down on the container of peanut M&Ms right now.
You know what? I only could do the plain M&Ms. I can't do the peanut ones. I always the
plain M&Ms are too sweet.
Really?
I need the peanut to throw. You know, and it's crazy. That's crazy for someone like me to say, because I have a ginormous sweet tooth, But I can only eat the plain M&Ms in like the little kid size, the Halloween size bags. You know, I can't just go buy like a regular store bag or even like the family size bags and stuff like that. Like too much sugar. Like it ruins my eating experience. I know it's crazy I say that. The peanut M&Ms though, like the peanut actually like helps to like dilute some of the sugar.
Okay, I keep thinking just because it feels like it's not enough chocolate. And it's more of the nut, so that balance right there.
I feel like when it comes to candy, especially chocolate candies, I feel like the perfect. This is why I love Snickers. I feel like the perfect marriage of candy is milk chocolate, peanuts, caramel, and some type of base. Like for Snickers, it's that nougat stuff, you know. But I mean, I feel like those three things. With a filler, that's I want to say trifecta, but it's four elements. But any candy bar, in my opinion, that has chocolate caramel, milk chocolate caramel, and peanuts in some form or another, it can be peanut butter. You know, I don't really care. You know, it's perfect for me. But Snickers, in my opinion, is the best candy bar. It is, in my opinion. I know some people are probably going to at me and saying it's the Paydays or it's the or it's the Milky Ways or whatnot or Twix or whatnot, which I will eat all of those, but you know,
I can't do the full bar of Snickers, but I like the mini ones to pop in because
Snickers stands no chance with me.
See, that's why I like this. That's why I like the small ones, because once I eat them, I can go back get another one and just keep going and going and stuff.
Well, see, that's the problem. When I have the Snickers minis, I will eat myself into a coma. At least if I go out and buy the candy bar, at least I know like that's my limit, But there's no limit when I go buy the bag of miniatures or even go buy the variety bag of miniatures.
Well, all right. David, what has been your Snack-tendo?
Well, I think I have a little bit of fail because I didn't remember the brand names, but I've been eating these Thai basil pot stickers with chow mein noodles this week.
Oh my God.
I love those. I could eat those I have to, those and tacos, like my wife has to be like, no, we've had that like twice this week. You can't, you can't eat those anymore. So I've been eating that. And then as far as like desserts and stuff, Costco has those like little mini round brownies.
Like
those
that
so
big,
good.
that big
like,
container, that bucket container?
Yeah.
Oh my God.
So my daughter had her birthday on Saturday. So we did like a little thing at home. And so I had a waffle cone with half-baked Ben & Jerry's, and I put the brownie in the base of the waffle cone. It was a little much, but so it was good.
Awesome.
You know what? You're talking about the pot stickers, though, man. You know what? I have a thing for like Asian finger foods, so like pot stickers, egg rolls, spring rolls, anything like that. Like, oh God, like.
I'm sorry. Fridays pot stickers, man. Every time I used to go to Fridays, I will always order pot stickers. I feel like theirs was the best. Dipping it in that sauce, it's just like they had a particular taste that you just can't get anywhere else.
What have you been snacking on, Ed?
So I had some beef lo mein today with some fried rice. I'm always eating some Asian food. I don't know if I talked about the Doritos 3D chili cheese nachos, potato chips. They're really good. They taste like the Frito chili cheese chips, but with a little bit more air to them. They're a little bit spicy. And shout out to you to LeRon because you had the black pepper jack Doritos.
Did you find a bag of those?
Not yet. They haven't put it into our store, so I'm gonna have to go to another store to find it.
Here's how I'll prepare you for this, because the Jumping Jack Cheese Doritos came out alongside the Cool Ranch Doritos. They were two tester flavors that they were doing, and I remember the Jumping Jack Cheese ones were my favorite ones when I was younger. As a matter of fact, I was so upset when the Cool Ranch ones were the ones that basically won out. And not anything against the Cool Ranch Doritos per se. My thing about the Cool Ranch Doritos is they're sweet, and not like the sweet chili Doritos, because sweet chili Doritos are the bomb.
Yes.
But the Cool Ranch ones, like you've got that ranch, but you've also got that sugar. And who all associates ranch flavored anything with sweetness? It kind of throws me off now. So like Cool Ranch Doritos is not my favorite Doritos, and the crazy part is like I basically ate so much of Cool Ranch Doritos that I pretty much overdosed on them, and to now where like I prefer not to have the taste of them in my mouth unless it's on the Doritos Locos Tacos at Taco Bell. The Cool Ranch ones. That does it justice.
But they removed that one for their menu at some Taco Bells because we don't have it. We only have the nacho cheese. No. We don't have the Cool Ranch.
It's been a while. It's been a while since I've been to a Taco Bell, so I wouldn't have known. But anyway, going back to the Jumping Jack Cheese ones. The Jumping Jack Cheese ones are basically like the Cool Ranch ones, except no sugar on the chip. Yeah, so you're actually getting, in my opinion, is like when you go to a Mexican restaurant and they put a seasoning on your tortilla chips. That's pretty much it. But it's not a taco seasoning, So yeah, so just be prepared, just so you're warned. So it's not like you're thinking like it's gonna be like some massive flavor explosion in your mouth.
Yeah, I see. I feel like Cool Ranch has changed their flavor of chips, or for some reason, like it tastes different because back when they came out in the '90s, they had a lot of the flavor popping in your mouth. Right now, it kind of feels like it's been subdued, but they still good from time to time.
Yeah, it's my least favorite flavor of the original Doritos. Yeah, because I'll just get down the nacho cheese ones. But the taco ones are good.
Mm-hmm.
And from the expansion flavors, like definitely the chili the chili ones are the spicy. Is it spicy chili or chili spice? I can't remember, but like it's kind of weird because I just downed on just downed on Cool Ranch Doritos for them being sweet, but the chili ones are sweet too. But man, it's a completely different flavor profile.
I love the flaming hot nachos Doritos. Them ones are bomb big.
They're okay, but I think something gets lost in translation because like when you have a tortilla chip, when you put a flaming hot flavor on them, the first thing I'm thinking is where's the jalapeno flavor?
See, that's the Cheetos jalapeno cheddar ones.
They could be better too, actually.
Well, they were just like chips.
I lived for 3 years in El Paso as a kid. I do scrutinize Mexican and Hispanic inspired food.
Well, everybody, that has been our Snack Tendo. We're going to get into our Game Fact events with our special guest, LeRon. What's our Game Fact events for tonight?
Well, okay, so I want to talk about one of my all-time favorite Nintendo games, if not properties, and that game is Super Metroid, which is the third installment to Nintendo's Metroid series, which, in my humble opinion, is the greatest original Metroid title for the franchise. I say original because I'm not talking about the remakes or the side stories like Metroid Pinball, like none of that, But anyway, everyone that's familiar with Metroid already knows the deal with it. Samus Aran goes on a new adventure to stop the space pirates. And by the way, that's a generic name. I was hoping in like this day and age they would have updated that name, given them something a little more cool, and the space pirates is just their nickname or something. But it is what it is. All right. So for Super Metroid, while it had received critical acclaim, the game did not sell well at all in its native country of Japan, but did much better in North America, pushing the argument that American and Western gamers are the real fandom of the series. That's been a thing for a while, that we hear. So it should be noted that the game was nearly canceled 3 times during its development due to the fact that at the time, the Metroid series wasn't nearly as popular as Super Mario or the Legend of Zelda series. But the critical and commercial success of Super Metroid is what saved the series from early cancellation. Thank you again, Western gamers. All right, some tidbits about the development. During development, director Yoshio Sakamoto had his wife and children test the game and implemented changes based on their feedback. So that's pretty cool. I wonder what some of the changes were that they suggested, because the Shine Spark Dash I'm wondering did gamers come up with that, or did they come up with that, or if that was something that was originally in development. The narrating voice at the very beginning of the game, that was the voice of Dan Osen, who was a representative of Nintendo America and they just pulled him in during one of his visits to Nintendo Japan, and it was like, hey, you want to do something for us? And now his voice is immortalized forever in one of the greatest Metroid games. But also, tragically, this would be the last Metroid game to be released while series producer Gunpei Yokoi was still alive. And also, another thing, after its release, there would be an 8-year gap before a new Metroid game was ever released.
Because of Game Boy Advance. What's the following one?
No, Super Metroid came after. Yeah, Super Metroid came after the
because Game Boy Advance came after Super Metroid. Because Metroid Fusion, Metroid Fusion is 4, and then Zero Mission is the remake of 1.
You're talking like line of the.
I'm talking about release of the Metroid series. That Fusion was the next one.
Actually, no. You're kind of getting it wrong, because I had to do the lookup too, because I could have sworn that I played Samus Returns after I played Super Metroid. But Super Metroid released in 1994. Samus Returns released in 1990.
No, because Samus Return was the second game on Game Boy Advance. I mean, on the regular Game Boy, and then Super Metroid was the third one.
David, you got this?
Yeah,
it looks like you're looking it up.
Line here. So we got. Man,
right, because Super Metroid came out in 94, I believe. 94 or 95.
Yes, Metroid came out in 94.
Super Metroid was 1994.
And then Metroid 2.
Metroid 2, Metroid 2, Samus
Prime
Returns.
was 2002.
Metroid 2, The Return of Samus.
Metroid 2, Return of Samus was November 1991.
Right.
91.
So then after Super Metroid Fusion was the next one, because that's Game Boy Advance.
Okay, so here's how the chronology of Metroid goes. Because it goes Metroid, then it goes Metroid 2, Return of Samus, then it goes Super Metroid, and then it finalizes with Metroid Fusion.
Right.
But
in 2002.
Yeah, but here's a factoid that I was actually going to roll into next. Metroid Other M is the direct sequel. So the events of Metroid Other M take place directly after Super Metroid.
Yes.
So after Super Metroid, but before Fusion.
Right, because when you finish Other M, that goes into Fusion because the computer is sounding like her captain.
Yeah. All right. So let's see. So Super Metroid. We just said that. Super Metroid would go on to collect several awards and honors, including Game of the Month, and this is back in that time. Game of the Month, Best Action Game, and by 2003, which is when they stopped doing overall sales for it, it received the Best Game of All Time accolade by 2003. Super Metroid became a popular choice for speedrunning once the mechanic of rewards based on how long it took to complete the game was established, alongside discovering that percentages of your discoveries and overall secrets attained, and basically the completion factor. Basically, whatever you completed by the in-game credits, that also factored into it, which I will say, like, I actually, during my gameplays of Metroid back when I was younger and actually had that type of time of game, I actually managed to get like the best ending and with 100% clear, and that's crazy because back then I was also under suspicion, and it's pretty much been told that you don't need to see every corner of the map, but you have to find every secret and attain every item. So you don't have to see every corner of the map. My dumb self was trying to get every inch of the map covered too.
Yeah, and then that's why because of Super Metroid, that's how Castlevania Symphony of the Night got its recognition. But Castlevania Simon's Quest, Castlevania 2 Simon's Quest was its actual first Metroid-like game, before the Metroidvania became a genre of a name.
Yeah, that's true. Yeah. Which and one final parting fact for this Game Fact Advance. Super Metroid, to this day, this game is notorious among fans for having a major memory flaw issue, which the flaw frequently wiped the player's saved progress. This was caused by a faulty battery inside the cartridges, which lasted considerably less than in most games which relied on the battery system. For some strange reason, something was going on with the game's data and the battery for the cartridge itself that was basically causing it to like lose your data. And yes, I actually had because I was one. This also helped kind of get my whole like thing of having two save files and stuff like that. But I did have one save file kill on me. It wasn't my main one. It was my second one, and it was funny because I was like, did I delete it? I don't remember erasing this file.
Did you know what
wait? Hold on. So it erases one save file, but not the other.
Yeah.
How would that happen?
It's completely random. It's completely random, but actually I didn't look into it, but I'm not even sure. Well, I know they fixed it. Of course, when the virtual console versions came out. But beyond that, like, I'm not sure. Yeah.
Oh, every time I play Super Metroid, I get stuck somewhere. That's one franchise I want so badly to get into. I mean, I play a ton of Samus on Smash Brothers, but man, I can't. I'll have to go back
David,
and try.
I remember back in because honestly, the original NES version of Metroid is kind of what solidified my love for like sci-fi gaming, and it also started the branch for me to start writing and stuff like that, because it was like you had to use your imagination for that original Metroid game. People don't realize it because we have Zero Mission, it was a bare bones game. You know, like you had Samus, you had that skeleton of a map, and you had like random enemies sparse throughout the place. Like it's not as lush as what we see in Zero Mission. It was definitely revolutionary when we saw Super Metroid compared to Metroid and Metroid 2. You know, it was because like there was lush environments. You know, like it was atmospheric and stuff like that. You had to use your imagination for the first
which
two
is
games.
weird because
I missed that era. I loved that. You could say the same thing is true about the original Zelda game too. I mean, there was bare bones story, and you were really kind of free to have headcanon.
Yeah. Oh, that's true. Yeah, I used a lot of headcanon, especially for I couldn't figure out why Ganon looked like a giant pig at the time.
Right. Which is weird because with Metroid during my time, I had Metroid and Space Harrier. So I had Metroid on the NES, playing it, enjoying that game, and then I had the Space Harrier on the Sega Master System with my brother playing that game, and just seeing how Sega and Nintendo, you know, took their ideas about space and aliens, and putting it out as a game. It's very interesting.
Oh, you want to know another cool thing since you said aliens? Like there was a lot of inspiration for Metroid based on Ridley Scott's Alien. Samus Aran was basically characterized to be Ripley, but when they designed her based off of Kim Basinger, and her likeness from the movies 9.5 Weeks and My Stepmother is an Alien.
Yeah, the first game that your first power is going to the left. No, Metroid.
Which most people didn't realize was a thing.
Yes. So everybody, thank you, LeRon, for that game fact advance. And now it's time for
my pleasure.
Yes. And now it's time for Femi News. David, take it away.
All right, thanks, Ed. So we got a couple stories to lead off here, and then we'll jump to our normal conversation format. So the first one is from Ryan Craddock over at NintendoLife.com. Nintendo is hiring for a position related to directs. It's been some time since the last full Nintendo Direct, prompting many to speculate the gaming company may have moved on from the production promotion format. However, a recent job posting from Nintendo has fans wondering if we may see a return to the much-loved and oft-hyped format. Quote, a new associate AV producer role involves the following duty. May assist with filming live action footage for use in Nintendo Directs and other content marketing initiatives. What this means for the future of Directs does remain to be seen. Out of Nintendo of America, through their Twitter page, we found out this week that Apex Legends arrives on Switch on May 9. So Nintendo Switch players will earn double XP March 9 to 23rd, receive the first 30 levels and all associated rewards immediately with the purchase of the Season 8 Battle Pass. In other news, Ori Director criticizes, quote, snake oil salesman behind No Man's Sky, Cyberpunk, and Fable, and then later apologizes. So this is one I'll be getting the thoughts of the panel on. This is from Kate Gray via Nintendo Life, and a follow-up story from Henry Stockdale, also at Nintendo Life. Ori Director Thomas Mahler went on a tirade blasting the creators of No Man's Sky, Cyberpunk, and Fable. Later, the rant even blasted journalists and gamers for passive support of dishonest business practices. Quote, he's tired of snake oil salesmen, as he calls them, getting hyped up by the games, press, and consumers, and then failing to deliver on their promises. Mahler then turns to blame gamers and journalists, saying that they don't seem to mind all that much, that they're being lied to, with game journalists in particular happily playing along with the deception. In the follow-up story about the apology, he said, quote, as you can imagine, that led to some rather heated debate. Given that Will-o'-the-Wisps notably suffered from performance issues at launch, he's been accused of hypocrisy in several quarters and criticized for a reductive viewpoint. Since then, however, Mahler has issued an apology, releasing a statement via Twitter yesterday. He's backtracked on his previous comments and admitted that he, quote, screwed up. My intention was definitely not to hurt anybody, but to offer up a discussion starter on current issues the industry is facing. We all share a common love for this art form, and we should always remain respectful with each other, and I wasn't yesterday. LeRon, I'll ask you first. Was Mahler right the first time? Was the apology necessary? Perhaps Mahler spoke out on something that needed to finally be aired. What do you think?
Okay, I do believe there is a snake oil salesman phenomenon going on in the gaming industry, especially in the last like 10 to 15 years. I do believe that's the case, but also I think where Mahler makes the giant mistake as a developer, he doesn't take into consideration, like development cycles and stuff like that. And I'm glad it was mentioned that, Will the Wisps had some problems, post launch, which means like, hey, like, can you've gotten some stuff right? Now, that being said, like, like No Man's Sky, No Man's Sky was a disappointment when it came out, but the developers and the publisher embraced what was going on, and they actively worked with the community to fix the game. Cyberpunk is also going under that same prospect right now. I'll say this: if anything, we can say Mahler was out of pocket. Especially with the fact, and this is how I think how the apology wound up coming into play, because he called out gamers. Mm-hmm. And you don't mess with your pocketbook. You That's don't. Right. I mean, all artists have pride and stuff like that. Yeah, and some artists will throw themselves on that sword of saying like financial freedom. If they feel like they have something to say, but at the same time, you've got to pick and choose like how you're going to come at it. He could have turned around and said, yeah, Fable, No Man's Sky, Cyberpunk, Marvel's Avengers, stuff like that. Yeah, those games had problems. The developers didn't live up to their word and stuff like that, and just kind of kept it there. He didn't have to make it, seem so sensationalized by calling them snake oil salesmen, because, like I said, you don't know all the factors of what goes on behind development. And just because, like, he's responsible for two highly successful games, one of which was pointed out by his fan base that, hey, that game had problems. Right. Now, one thing I will say he did do well though is he called out journalists, and everybody here at Boss Rush, we technically fall into the journalism, branch, because we talk about video games, we give op-eds about video games, we do reviews about video games, we tell people what we think they should be playing. We don't try to tell people what they should be playing. We tell people what we think they should be playing, stuff like that. So one thing I've always said, because I've been blogging and doing this for a while, as a matter of fact, I basically fallen out of blogging and video game stuff, as far as this goes. For years, until I got picked up with Boss Rush, and then I immediately got right back into the swing of things with it. And the one thing I've always tried to do is I've always tried to be authentic to the audience, and sure. So when I turn around and I talk about a game, I may gush about the game, but I also try to make sure that you also know, hey, this game has flaws. If you guys go to Crossroads, you will see when I talk about Cyberpunk all the time, I'm yeah, but there's also this and this going on, and you need to be aware of that, and especially, I always disclaimer that, for Cyberpunk, I'm playing on PC, which is probably the best platform to play on right now until CD Projekt Red gets it right and stuff like that. So I give him credit for that, because journalists do not do enough. And, sometimes journalists are getting sponsorships from these companies and stuff. So, that's why embargoes are such a big deal. I can't stand when there's an embargo on a game. As a matter of fact, if I do a review for a game and I'm told there's an embargo on the game, it makes me be even more brutally honest about the product.
That's what I was gonna ask you, if you thought, with your frustration with the journalists, is it because of access journalism, in the sense that they need to ingratiate themselves with these companies to get future access?
I think, yeah, I believe that is a factor. I do.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Ed, let me get you in on this. Was Mahler right the first time, or was his apology needed?
So I think he was right the first time, and the apology wasn't needed. And this is why I believe that. Me, Aaron, everybody know I have been saying this on Boss Rush for a long time. And I know LeRon is just oh, here we go. when he's talking about the snake oils, man, when you sell people on the product of a trailer and not what they're actually getting. And so when Ori came out, when Ori was shown, they actually showed stuff gameplay wise. They was actually showing the product that you was going to get, and it's what they was working on. So games like No Man's Sky, Aliens Colonial Marines, Cyberpunk, and Avengers, and other games like that, that every time they show you something, it's always in trailer form. It's so CGI that it's not guaranteed that it's going to be the actual product when you get it. It's a hype thing. So if that hype can get your attention and maybe get your pre-order or get your sale, they already did their job. They already going to give you something. So when you actually get the product and it don't meet your expectations or what they promised when it came out, they feel like they got gypped. And from Mueller, it's just like, you guys as companies and developers shouldn't be doing this. Why are you actually hiding what you are creating from the actual people, from the actual consumers who are going to be buying your product? So him calling them out and everything, we've been calling a lot of developers out about this. And you can actually.
Well, let me ask you a question real quickly, because I'm with you on the developers part, but we also have to factor into something like, it's not just the developers who are behind these games; it's also the publishers.
Oh yeah.
You know, and if the publishers are putting pressure on them, and stuff like that, and also saying, "Hey, it's got to sell this and this," the developers can't put themselves out of a job, before the game is out by being 100% truthful and stuff like that.
I factor in it all. The reason why I'm.
But this is on the developers though, like,
right.
But that's not the way Nintendo does business, right? Like where has been, pick 5 Nintendo games that there's been this kind of outrage for.
There hasn't
hasn't because Nintendo doesn't do that.
There hasn't been none because Nintendo has been outright in front and told you, we're not going to show you nothing until it's ready. And if you expect something that's ready and you get mad about that, that's on you, not us. It's literally called comprehension. Listen and comprehension. Comprehend the fact that they told you stuff is not going to be there. If you don't comprehend that, that's on you as the viewer and the gamer. It's not on Nintendo.
Hold on. I'm glad you said that because that turns around and falls back on the gamers. You said a moment ago how wait, hold on. You said how like the gamers have this expectation about it based off of what they've seen, but I'm a 45-year-old man. I've been playing video games since I was maybe like 6 years old. Like, I've seen it all, stuff like that. I've learned this nice little skill of like watch and see. I've learned to curb my enthusiasm a lot. Even with Monster Hunter titles, you saw with Monster Hunter Rise, I was really leery about it. I was really leery about the early news I heard until I saw some stuff. And I heard the developer diaries and stuff like that, and I was like, okay, this looks like something I'm going to get into. And the demo came out, and that officially sold me. But a lot of gamers get into this rut where they're like, oh, this is a game from. Let's just say this is a game from. If Gunpei Yokoi was still alive, let's say this pedigree that he has with Metroid. If everyone was like, oh, this is the next Gunpei Yokoi game, they immediately like, oh, we're gonna buy it, even though we haven't seen anything. That's one of the things on the gamers, because they also need to be responsible to a certain degree. Don't just blindly throw money. Don't just walk off the cliff because this guy is playing the flute.
And people have been saying this at years at E3, even when Nintendo went to their Nintendo Direct. Once Microsoft, Sony, and other publishers kept showing trailers and we weren't getting actual gameplay, people were complaining about where is the gameplay, because this might not be what I'm getting when it comes out. With No Man's Sky, Sean Murray talked that all the way up and couldn't deliver on everything he backed up on. So that was that problem. That's kind of that snake mince oil on that part. For it.
That's true. But for every one person that turns around and says, "Hey, like I want some gameplay in this trailer," there's 9 other gamers. There's like, "Oh, this game is going to be the best thing ever."
And And with journalists, with the media, if the publishers and developers are controlling the content, they only could report on what is given to them. The media don't have anything, really what they can say. I mean, even when they're in embargo, they could always make it true feelings. If they don't want to agree to the embargo, they could wait for the game to come out, buy it with themselves, and give a full review. And the thing,
yeah, but most journalists aren't going to do that because
Exactly.
they want to be able to keep getting the
That's right.
exclusive
that was
first content first.
some journalists, because when Bethesda was doing that they weren't shipping copies out, people were going to go get those games, and they fully let everybody know. I think Bethesda changed it now. So I think Bethesda now send copies, because Bethesda wasn't sending copies to journalists after, I think, maybe after Fallout or Elder Scrolls. It was one of them that Bethesda stopped doing it, stopped sending out review copies. And journalists had to go, they had to wait for the day of the release. They may have went to the store, got the copy, or they may have pre-purchased it and wait for the game to release, and they played the full game and they gave their review. And they told people, we didn't get a copy, we actually purchased it, and now this is our review for the game. So that's why it's late.
All right, gentlemen, we got to wrap this topic up. Ed, I don't know why you got to trash Colonial Marines. I'm probably one of the few people that love that game, but we can debate that another day.
I want to hear your thoughts on it on it later,
I
David.
have lots of thoughts on that. We should
Okay.
talk. All right, so our next story, streaming service Crackle to premiere 5-part documentary series about Nintendo's history next month. So this is from Liam Doolan out of Nintendo Life. So the streaming service Crackle will premiere a 5-part documentary series, Playing with Power, the Nintendo Story, on March 1st. According to Deadline, this series has been written and directed by Jeremy Sneed and executive producer and narrator, for that matter, by Sean Austin, a.k.a. Samwise from Lord of the Rings. In it, he tells the sprawling story of the secretive Japanese company, including interviews with individuals like former Nintendo of America CEO Reggie Fils-Aimé, head of Xbox Phil Spencer, former Sega of America CEO Tom Kalinske, Atari's co-founder Nolan Bushnell, and Nintendo of America co-founder Ron Judy. Sneed says producing and directing this has been a, quote, lifelong ambition as an artist, gamer, and filmmaker. Austin adds to this, noting that he thinks the 5-part journey will, quote, open up the world of video games and this legendary company in a way that most people have never seen before. All right, Ed, we'll start with you this time. What are your reactions to this story? And in a year with so many special anniversaries for Nintendo franchises, what has made the company so special over the years?
Okay, so I love this. I'm glad that they're actually doing this 5-part documentary, and I'm probably going to end up getting Crackle so I could watch it. Because it's really showing you, because we have stuff about Sega. We have stuff, documentaries about other games and everything, but we never got to see the inside of Nintendo and understand. They've been such a secretive company about doing stuff, and so watching this documentary and getting the history about it, and plus the Ask Iwata book is coming out, I think in March, so like it kind of goes hand in hand in a sense. Nintendo's franchises are so successful because they resonate with a lot of people, and I don't think it's just the Nintendo fan base. I think whether you like Nintendo or not, in some time for some people they may have tried a Nintendo franchise. Maybe they liked it or maybe they did it. But they know that Nintendo does quality. There's been talk about their games. Their games have made history. Their games have kind of made a lot of genres better that Nintendo normally don't do. We just, like, LeRon just talked about Super Metroid. We have Metroidvanias from indie developers always say it's because I played Super Metroid. Influence. Mm-hmm. We have a lot of 3D games that was influenced with the analog from Super Mario 64. We have the lock on target from The Legend of Zelda Ocarina
Z-targeting from
Ocarina of Time. And just their games continue to bring something out of a lot of genres that we just see in other franchises and stuff. And this continues to be successful because definitely is always one of the fan made games. You know, that's why we got a lot of cease and desist for Nintendo, because everybody wants to make a game out of Nintendo more than they want to do out of Sony, Microsoft, Sega, and other companies, because their franchises are so well known and so creative. It gives more visibility to other people when it comes to video games. People are still considering other stuff. Where's the Nintendo PlayStation? Where's the Nintendo One? Like, they keep using Nintendo as a generalization for things. Mm-hmm. So,
LeRon, let me get you in on this. So, someone who played Nintendo growing up, but also a self-professed PC guy, what are your reactions to this? Why do you think Nintendo's first-party franchises have been so successful compared to other systems?
I believe the reason why is because as gamers, like, it's especially older gamers like you and I, David, Nintendo is in our DNA. Like, Nintendo's properties and all that stuff, like, it's so beloved. And, you know, a lot of us turn around. I don't have kids, but I know a lot of parents who turn around and they also, like, introduce their kids to gaming through, like, older Nintendo properties and stuff like that. Nintendo is basically the Disney of gaming, of the gaming industry and stuff like that. And that's why Nintendo is like it's like the holy grail and stuff like that, you know. To put a little bit of a spin on what Ed was saying, like, yeah, Nintendo has done a lot to innovate, but for guys like me, like, I've kind of outgrown it, because I feel like Nintendo still kind of stays in like a whimsical lane, and sometimes I'm not really in the mood for whimsy. Sometimes I actually want something that's mature. I want something that, you know, is actually going to resonate with me as an adult and not resonate with the child in me that has become the adult, you know, things like that. Now, what I will say about this, why on Crackle? I don't want to be bothered with commercials. I'm going to watch it, but I'm going to be irritated every like 8 minutes when a commercial spot hits. I'm going to be irritated, but I'm going to watch this.
Yeah, and they're Sony streaming service, right?
Yeah.
So there's a little bit of irony there too.
This is the thing.
The thing is,
Sony's doing, I think, one of the movies for Nintendo. So Sony has something with Nintendo, like, media wise. So maybe that's
we have to remember, before Sony was a gaming company, they were a movies and entertainment company first.
Yeah,
you know, so you know, it's not even about the fact that,
before
you know,
that,
like, Nintendo's a rival.
Before that, they were a sound company.
Yeah, exactly. Like, you know, it wasn't even about, like, the fact that Nintendo's a rival right now. And, you know, like, I don't think they're twirling their mustache and rubbing their hands together like, "Whoa, I got this one." You know, it's more like, you know, if anything, it's more like a handshake than
Don't forget, Sony made Nintendo sound chip. So that's why you got that classic 16-bit sound. So it's not like and plus Nintendo and Sony are both in Japan, and I think, from what happened back in the day on the PlayStation stuff, I think that has all kind of disappeared, and I think there's some mutual respect there, mutual, maybe even work in the, like, Switch. Let's say a Switch Pro has a Sony sound chip, like, that would be bonkers to have Sony come back to Nintendo to make them a sound chip.
You know, I think if Dan were here, he would probably point out, as he often does, that, you know, Sony doesn't really see Nintendo as a rival. No. That they see themselves occupying completely different parts of the market. I think that was interesting what you said, LeRon, about Nintendo being sort of the Disney of the video game world. And I think that's a great analogy. And I think you're right about a lot of their franchises, sort of the kid in all of us playing them. It also has worked well for companies like Disney, and it's worked well.
Yeah,
you know,
exactly.
But this is the weird. This is the weird thing, though. People say that, but then when when you're playing a Nintendo game straightforward, it's a kid's thing. But when you're trying to get everything, it's frustrating to adults. It's really frustrating. I don't know how people could do 100% run on Dark Souls, but can't do 100% run on Yoshi's Woolly World.
I can tell you why. I can tell you why, because it's a mindset. You know, like Demon Souls and Dark Souls and Bloodborne and games like that, people have to get serious about playing those games to even beat them. to even get through the challenge of getting to the end of the game for Yoshi's what was
Yoshi's
it?
Woolly World.
Because I've never
Try to.
because I've never played that game.
It's
I'm a perfect example. Like that's a game that I wouldn't invest that much time into. Like I might pick it up, play it casually for a couple of minutes, but I don't think I would ever like put in the dedication to beat the game.
Here's the thing. We got to wrap this segment up. But, I will say that one of the things that I think makes Nintendo what they are and why they are celebrated so much is that they're a company that prioritizes gameplay experience above all else. And I think that does make them different. When we talked about those other video game companies and designers, selling you on graphics or selling you on mature content, Nintendo, sometimes to a fault, doesn't care about story. They care about, are you just having out of your mind fun with the gameplay? And I think that's created a loyal following.
Well, that's also because Nintendo started off as just a games company. They were, before they were ever an electronics, like gaming system. They started off as a games company. So they've always been, are you having fun? And you know what? And you know what? I will never knock anyone's hustle. As long as they're trying to make me have fun. I'd have to be the worst Scrooge in the world to be like, no, I don't like anything Nintendo.
Says someone about Mario Kart Double Dash.
I can't. I don't have fun playing those games.
All right. We got to move on to our last.
I love you, LeRon.
So you mentioned music earlier, Ed. So our final story: data miners use original uncompressed samples to restore Super Mario World soundtrack. This is also from Liam Doolam at Nintendo Life. Quote, "The truth is, we've been listening to heavily compressed music in this game for many years now. Today, though, we can finally hear the tracks from Super Mario World in all their glory. You see, talented data miners have restored the songs using in the game using full uncompressed samples. The same YouTube channel also has 8 other Super Mario World tracks you can listen to. In addition to these, there are some resampled songs from 64 games like Donkey Kong 64 and Super Mario 64. So, question, and we'll get you started on this, LeRon. What other classic video game music would you like to hear uncompressed? Does this change or take away any of the classic charm from the 8 and 16-bit era?
Okay, so I've got 3 games, all from the Super NES era. 3 games: Super Metroid, Chrono Trigger, and Secret of Mana. It's Secret of Mana, and maybe as a close 4th place would be Final Fantasy 3 or Final Fantasy 6 as we know it now. But I mean, I would love to hear like the uncompressed, it's just another thing about it. Like the one thing that really wowed me about the Super Nintendo back then was the musical quality of the sampling of the games. Like, I mean, I loved damn near everything that was on the Sega Genesis, but of course, like the one thing, the Sega Genesis sounded way too chiptune. It sounded like it was just a slight step ahead of what the NES was. Whereas the first time, like I got through that, I got out of the castle in the in Link to the Past, and the overworld music hit me for the first time. I was like, oh my god! I just sat still right outside the castle and just listened to the music for like 5 whole minutes. It was, and like hearing the little cymbal crash in the background when the song crescendos and stuff. I was like, man, this is the greatest thing I'd ever heard at that time. Because of course, when we got the PS1 and like we actually had like real music soundtracks, then it was a whole different ball of wax then.
Which is funny because Secret of Mana was supposed to be the Nintendo PlayStation, so the soundtrack was supposed to be CD. A more CD quality, but they had the compressor for the cartridge. It's interesting because I would love to hear that.
And what music would you like to? Are there any classic games that you would like to hear uncompressed?
Yes, so Final Fantasy 3/6, I would love because that battle music is so good, and when I'm suplexing a ghost train, I kind of want to hear that battle music like uncompressed. It's so good. Yoshi's Island, I want to hear. I just love that soundtrack to that game. It's still so good to this very day. And Mega Man X. I kind of want to hear uncompressed because something's up with the mixing for that game. And then maybe the sound effects, but it got a banging soundtrack. But I would love to hear the music for that one.
You can all you gotta do is play the PSP remake of that game, Mega Man X.
They fixed it.
Maverick Hunter X. Oh man, the soundtrack sounds the same, but it sounds amazing.
Okay. Yeah, because
Yeah.
I didn't know that. I didn't know that they remixed the soundtrack for Mega Man X for that game.
David, let me ask you a question. Have you had a chance to go to the YouTube and listen to that soundtrack? Please tell me the Ice World, just the map stage, the music is there, because that was my favorite song from that Super Mario World soundtrack. Just sitting on the ice map stage.
I didn't hear that one. I listened to some of the first sort of island that you go to in that game, the music, and it was really interesting because on the one hand, like there's definitely more there. You can notice it, but at the same time, I think I really like the classic sort of charm of what we got. Maybe that's nostalgia talking, but
yeah.
It was interesting. It was just kind of a cool experiment to go check out the music. It's funny that you mentioned Link to the Past because that's the one where I grew up with the NES and I remember the first time I heard the music for that game too, and it
it was basically remixes of the Legend of Zelda's soundtrack.
Pretty much,
right?
It was great. Shoot.
So
I don't even know why that wasn't one of the 3 games I picked. But I mean, Chrono Trigger was basically the game that I want to say, as far as RPGs go, back in that era, that was the game that actually matured me. Like, because that story was so good that it basically it felt like I grew up with that story. And honestly, I think that might have been the catalyst for why I got out of JRPGs. Because after playing like a million of them on PS1, I was like, man, everything's starting to get stale now.
Chrono Trigger.
Still waiting for that game to show up on Nintendo Online. We'll see.
Chrono Trigger changed the whole RPG genre, like new game plus, time travel and everything, and just
multiple endings. That was unheard of in an RPG back then.
Akira Toriyama's artwork. Like, we knew Dragon Ball.
Well, I mean, everyone's familiar with Toriyama's artwork. He's been doing it since Dragon Warrior and Dragon Quest.
Right, but see, a lot of Americans didn't know that because we wasn't getting the Dragon Quest games like Japan was getting. And Akira Toriyama contributes so much to that series and that look. Mm-hmm. So actually seeing him doing something completely original and working with Squaresoft at that time to make that game artwork, that was baffling because he was with Enix, who did Dragon Quest.
Yeah, they need to hurry up and port those games over to like a virtual console or something on the Switch. And I'm sorry, for most of these games, we need the updated ones. So, like for example, like I know the Super Mario All Stars is on the Switch, this Nintendo Online, but that's the Super NES ones, and I'm more attached to the GBA like remasters.
Right.
Legend of Zelda: Link to the Past, like the remaster for GBA, like I want those,
We could be seeing a new online subscription service here soon. That we had a few conversations about that the last few weeks, so we'll see what happens with that.
Will that be what finally gets LeRon to pony up a monthly subscription to Nintendo?
It may be. We gotta keep our pace moving here, everybody. So that is the end of our family news segment, and thank you to everybody in the panel for discussing. It's back to you, Ed.
All right. So this wasn't in the show notes, but just a quick link code. E3 has been announced as a digital event this year. It's going to be 3 days, I believe, June 15th to June 17th. It is on the announcement. That's going to be happening, and I kind of put it out to the chat and our Boss Rush crew. What did you guys think about E3 going all digital this year? Like, will Nintendo still be on that Tuesday, Microsoft being on that Sunday, Sony doing the state of play but not part of E3 in a sense? Like, what did you guys think when the news busted? Because it came out on Nintendo Live.
I was excited. I think it's great. I mean, why not? Everything else is virtual, and it allows me to kind of have a tab open and be following it all day. I'm all for it. I don't know that it's going to change how much Nintendo shares because they seem to really be doing their kind of own thing in terms of making major announcements. But I'm all for it.
What about you, LeRon?
See, I'm kind of that weird guy because once the big three stopped like having presences at E3 back when they were live shows, like I kind of lost my drive to like be at an E3. As a matter of fact, like I've been telling myself, as soon as like we're getting out of this pandemic and stuff, the first time Sony announces they're having the PlayStation Experience, I'm buying tickets and going to California for that and stuff like that. But so I mean, I'll tune into it, but I don't know, like my desire for E3s, like, you know, like for it has waned because Microsoft no longer shows up there. Sony doesn't show up there. Nintendo was the first one to pull out. That was crazy. Like Nintendo pulled out, and then like the next year, Microsoft was like, "Well, we'll do it too."
Well, I think that when they went to the Nintendo Direct and stuff, or because of the what they were still at it, but instead of doing the press conference, they were just like, we could control our message better, and then after we could show more of our game and do the treehouse thing. And people was weary at first, which is kind of going to get a little bit into our dark mode, because I kind of posted on my Twitter that the Nintendo Direct in October is going to be going on 10 years. And so I think when they went to doing a E3 Direct that in 2012, that was kind of a sign to show that, oh, this does work and people do like it. So maybe, and look, the Jeff Keighley thing, I don't know what the world that was. I couldn't tell who was part of it or anything. So to see them all, I guess to see that the mission is going to be more controlled by doing this digital event for those 3 days and maybe that whole week, to me, it's a perfect thing to see. But we'll see.
My problem though about digital events though is like, it's like everybody and their mom's trying to like stream it. So it's like I always want like the most direct one. So for example, when Nintendo's doing their directs, I actually try to go to Nintendo's like channel for that versus IGN or GameSpot or something like that. I always try to go to Sony's. I always try to go to Microsoft's when they're doing that because at least I know no one's going to try to inject their own stuff into it. You know, when I say their own stuff, usually it's commentary. Sometimes it's ad space, you know, stuff like that. But so that's another reason why I'm like, man. But I also understand we're in the middle of a pandemic. But everybody's had to change their business model or something. And, you know, I'm not knocking that at all. Like, of course, I'm going to avoid that Jeff Keighley. Whatever he decides to do this summer, I'm avoiding that. But that's between me and Jeff Keighley, though.
Yes. So, everybody, that has been our link code. Now it's time for Doc Mode. Nintendo has a fascinating history with its own IPs. With so many anniversaries that are happening, what makes a particular series exceptional to you? Why do you think other companies can't create that same magic? So I'm going to start with the first part. What makes a particular series exceptional to you? David, which series, like, it's just not saying that it can't do no wrong, but it has a special meaning to you?
Yeah, so I'm going to go back to something LeRon said earlier that really resonated with me and something I've felt for a really long time. This era of video games that invited you to use your imagination, I think there was really something special there that I think in some degree we've lost. And you know, I don't want to be the like old man get off my lawn here, but you know, like I teach English as a high school teacher. I love reading. I'm really passionate about reading and writing. I think that's important. And one of the things that I love about those mediums is that it allows people to use their imagination in a way that film and TV doesn't. And, you know, we all did in this chat. We all grew up in this era where graphics and memory weren't good enough to really tell a story. So they had to give you images. They had to give you little clips of text, and then through the gameplay, let you sort of invent or imagine the world. And so the Legend of Zelda series for me from the get-go did that, playing that original NES Legend of Zelda, like just the idea that I had a sword and some items and I could just go explore, and that, you know, any tile space on that screen could be bombed or burned, and that it was up to me to just figure it out. There, you know, occasionally, if I was really lucky, my parents would let me call the Nintendo hotline for help. I was pretty much, I was an only child. You didn't have friends that played it, so I was just on my own figuring it out, right?
Oh God, your parents actually let you burn up $9.99.
And it was like rare occasions, you know. But you know, so like I don't know, like I love the Nintendo model with some of those early games, and Legend of Zelda really did that for me. And over the years, I think I've always been loyal to that. I love games that are steeped in storytelling. You know, it's really the monomyth, the hero's journey is really what Legend of Zelda games are playing out. But I love the way that franchise does it. To a lesser extent, I enjoy Mario games, but not for their story, but just because I love the platforming and the multiplayer aspects of it. So those are two. Oh, and one other one I guess I would add that's been pretty special to me over the years is the Yoshi games. I played on the Super Nintendo the first Yoshi Island game and loved that as a kid. And now having my own kids, it's something that I've connected a lot with my daughter over the years. And so I think for that reason, I guess like there are Disney families, I guess we're a Nintendo family.
I'll say this: Yoshi's Island, the first one, is the only one that I honestly still love and respect to this day. Like I feel like Yoshi as a character is like one of the most annoying things to ever have been introduced by Nintendo in the Mario franchise. It's the noises. It's oh my god! It's like can I just go into the source code real fast and just mute all his sound?
No, great.
No.
I mean, from him fluttering his feet to the tongue to the throwing the eggs and stuff. It's like and heaven forbid something hits you. And he starts screaming. And it's like,
well, that's the first Yoshi's Island. The other ones, they don't really do that.
Oh no! It's so. Come on, you telling me you never played? You're telling me you never selected Yoshi in Mario Tennis and used him as a character?
Played Mario Tennis.
Oh my god!
At Exodus 803, everybody, just so you.
I invite all the conversations in my social media. You got a hot take for me? Like let's have a discussion.
LeRon, what Nintendo franchise is just exceptional to you? Like it really means.
Well, I exposed it. Metroid. Metroid's had some hit or misses over the year, and I'm weak on Metroid Prime and stuff like that. But it's quintessential sci-fi for me, and it's also what as a kid got me into writing because I would play like like a segment of Metroid, and I'd immediately turn around and I was like I would start writing stuff, about somebody running through a maze or cavern, and trying to save themselves and like beat these whatever the big bad was and stuff like that. Metroid is what it is for me. Like I said earlier, like Nintendo, when you come to guys my age, like I graduated from Atari, straight to Nintendo,
Same.
And I lived through the gaming depression. So like there was a 4-year gap when there was no such thing as a brand new video game unless you walked into an arcade, So there was no such thing as a home console, even though home consoles was a brand new concept at the time. So things like that. So so when Nintendo came out, like many kids my age, I latched onto it with a vengeance because like this is our in my brain, that was our last grasp at having being able to sit down on the couch and play video games that we'd normally have to beg our parents to take us to an arcade for, give us a handful of money, and then once that money ran out, we had to go home.
Exactly.
So I mean, but Metroid is my number one IP from Nintendo. It is
for me. It's the Mario Brothers. I actually played Mario Brothers on the Atari 2600. I played the arcade version, Mario Versus, at Pizza Hut and everything with the chosen player select choice machines. My mom, when she bought me Nintendo for Christmas, I hooked it up in my room, and every time I would come home from school or something, she would be playing Mario Brothers, trying to beat it. And still to this very day, she plays Mario Brothers, and that was kind of our bonding time with that. But Mario and his games just gave me my video game skills, to do platforming, to understand patterns, to duck, to learn about music and why it's so catchy and everything. You mentioned
it was also the Mario game that introduced the POW block.
Yeah, yes, it was.
Yep.
It was. And I've always been a fan of the Mario games. I've been a fan of Mario, Luigi, Princess, Toad, Bowser or King Koopa at the time when I was playing it. In every game that came out, besides some of the side games that I don't own, I thoroughly played all the way and enjoyed. It was like it was showing me level design. It was giving me challenge and everything. And when they was doing the Olympics for, I think this year was supposed to be. Oh no, for last year, for 2020, and Mario was like the kind of like the icon for it. I screamed. Like I was just like, wait, they got Mario to do this? Nintendo let the Olympics use him? Like,
oh, it's a big deal. It's a big deal because it's supposed to be in Japan. It's a big deal.
Yeah, and I was shocked that Nintendo did it. Like the Olympics went to Nintendo for that to happen. I'm like, I thought Nintendo would say no. You know.
Oh no. That's like when the president of the United States asks you to be a member of his cabinet. You don't say no.
Right.
Yeah. So
unless you have a damn good reason for saying no.
Yeah. I mean, a lot of people have used Mario for fan games, and you see the cosplay, but it's so special to me because of my bonding time with my mom. It's just giving me my video game skills. You know, it.
That's awesome, man.
Yeah. So, but why do you guys think that other companies can't create that magic? LeRon, I'm gonna start with you.
Okay, yeah, I really wish you hadn't started with me because the first thing I'm gonna say is that's a really unfair question. Like you just heard David and I say this is in our DNA. Mm-hmm. These franchises have been going on for so long that it's going to take people like us to die before other games have a chance to flourish and stuff like that. And the other reason why it's unfair is because yes, other games have the same magic. Look at what Kingdom Hearts did. I mean, Kingdom Hearts has a fandom that, man, like when I was working at GameStop, there was two select fandoms that got on my nerves every time they walked in the store. The Nintendo fans and the Kingdom Hearts fans. They got on my nerves. And it wasn't because they were just bad people. They were just the most annoying things. But Kingdom Hearts does that, Like let's look at some other, like, I mean, you walk into a Microsoft fan house and tell them Master Chief is nothing. You're gonna have to die. You're gonna have to fight to get out of there alive. You're going to have to, So there's magic all over the place, like Last of Us, Uncharted, Horizon Zero Dawn is only one game, and it is one of the most talked about Sony titles. Like, it gets talked about more than God of War does, and God of War has 7 games.
Yeah.
Yeah, so I mean, other companies are creating that same magic, but they don't have the pedigree that Super Mario has, that Donkey Kong has, that freaking Link and Legend of Zelda have, that Metroid has. They don't have that magic, And like a lot of these titles that like I just mentioned, they spawned their own like subgenres. Like Yoshi's his own game and developed character. We've got Super Smash Brothers, which basically brings all the Nintendo universe together in one game, and that's like a dream match for everybody. So I think it's an unfair question because like all these other IPs that like there's a reason why, like, going back to the earlier thing about like where we say like gamers are at fault sometimes for like really disappointing games getting notoriety. It's because like if there was no magic to them, like no one would be running and buying those games. Like no one would have bought Fallout 76 if it wasn't an established Fallout game. Nobody would buy some of the crappy Call of Duty games that have come out, and there've been a few. God, like look at all those terrible Star Wars licensed games or the Spider-Man licensed games. Like, there's magic there, because we give it the power, just like we've given all these Nintendo franchises the power because we have the romanticism about them. So that's my take.
David, why do you think other companies can't create that same magic?
Yeah, I think I'm going to take like an in-between position between the question and what LeRon said, because I think what LeRon's saying is true. You mentioned Master Chief, LeRon, and that's one for me. If I'm going to pick a non-Nintendo franchise that I just love, it's Master Chief. And that goes back to my love of sci-fi. We have a shared love of sci-fi, but
yeah.
But I also think Nintendo deserves some credit because I think we're getting to the point now where these companies have been around long enough that they should have this rabid following that they don't quite have that I think the time would have allowed. And the reason why is I think Nintendo does what companies like McDonald's do. McDonald's does with the Happy Meal is they teach kids from an early age to crave their food, right?
Oh, that's the perfect analogy. Oh my God.
And this is what Nintendo does, right? Like they have always said, okay, like a franchise we haven't gotten a lot of love tonight is Pokemon, right? Like, man, they advertise that like crazy to target kids, and they create this bond and this connection with the characters that stays with them for a lifetime. They're creating lifetime customers, and because more serious gaming consoles market themselves to teenagers and adults, there's this like brand imprinting age that's getting missed that Nintendo just hits up like printing money. So yeah. That would be the only thing that I would push back a little bit and say that it unless these other companies change their business policy, Nintendo may continue to dominate that way.
You know what? I would love. Well, actually, it's kind of hard. Because I mean, you have Master Chief, like my darling PlayStation franchise is Uncharted. Like I've gotten every Uncharted like game, even the little like the Uncharted Go game that was basically like Tomb Raider and Hitman Go. I even got that. That's a Sony IP that I pretty much. Uncharted is why I bought a PlayStation 3. I saw the trailer. By the way, Ed, I saw the trailer for Uncharted. There was no gameplay in Uncharted. There was no gameplay in that first trailer for Uncharted. I saw that trailer. Yeah, I saw a trailer and I was like, it's time for me to spend $600 for a PS3.
Did I tell you? I never seen the trailer for the first Uncharted. I remember reading it in Game Informer for Uncharted.
I saw a trailer. I didn't see not a single piece of advertising or written anything for it. And I saw the trailer and I was like, oh, this is my game. This is my game. I don't have a PlayStation, so it's time to go buy a PlayStation.
Yeah. Well, I knew I was going to get a PlayStation 3 over Xbox because of hearing all the breakage all the problems that Xbox was having. I'm like, I'm going to Sony. Like, and plus they got a Blu-ray player. Yeah, that's it. For me, I think it's icon stuff that's iconic, and I know a lot of people gonna be like, well, Master Chief is iconic, and you should like Uncharted, Mass Effect, and all of that stuff is iconic. Yeah, they are iconic, but not to the level of what Nintendo some of their franchises do with their magic. I think a lot of people. You mentioned, David, earlier about letting your child play one of the series in the games. Like when Breath of the Wild came out, a lot of people was letting their kids play Wind Waker HD. I don't see parents kind of doing that for like teen-rated games like Uncharted or Kingdom Hearts and stuff. Of course they make their fan base and everything, but I'm like, if you want to have like an 8 or 9-year-old get into like Kingdom Hearts, you got to kind of introduce them to them, and they got to kind of be like a fan of Disney.
Oh, I have an answer. I have an answer for
ahead.
that. I have an answer for that. The reason why is, and I've said it before in quite a few different chats that we've had, Nintendo is designed to grab the kid in you. So it's a lot easier for a parent to turn around and say, hey, like, let's throw this Super Mario game at him, or her, I need to be pronoun. I need to be more pronoun savvy. Let's throw this Super Mario game at them, or this Legend of Zelda game at them, and let's see how let's see the whole world like just fall open for them. Stuff like that. Whereas a game like Uncharted, for example, like there's a little bit of an adult element in there. I mean, like the opening of Uncharted alone, like he's flirting with Elena while they're trying to hunt for treasure and stuff like that. Some parents aren't ready for their 9-10-year-old kids to see that. Because like it's easier. Honestly, it's easier nowadays for parents to let their kids see like people shooting guns and killing people than it is for like mature adult stuff going on. And Mario, what's the most infringing thing Mario does? Like the princess kisses him.
Yeah, but you kind of got like games like Eternal Darkness. You got games like Geist. You got games like Fire Emblem and stuff that sells a little bit more mature. And it's kind of a little bit teen rated and stuff. That it is kind of it is for like older gamers, but those are sometimes niche stuff. But people still feel like they're iconic because when they played it for the first time, it was something different for Nintendo. It wasn't going to their younger audience or having the art appeal for younger players. This was like a little bit more serious for like older people and everything.
You know, we're giving Nintendo all this credit, but there wouldn't be Nintendo without Space Invaders and Centipede and stuff like that.
Yeah.
So I guarantee you, if a new Space Invaders game came out that actually looked like really good, I'd get it.
Yeah, and everybody gonna be like, "Can I get this on Switch physical?" Like, you know. But
of course, but that's the magic of that game. It looks like something that should be played on a Nintendo system.
And I'm not saying that other companies don't have that magic, because I think Insomniac got that magic. I think 343 Studios have that. Even Epic has that magic because of how popular Quake has been and everything. Like the tournaments and stuff, people have feel like Quake is the iconic first person shooter, even though it may be Doom or Wolfenstein for some people. Quake has been a big impact for a lot of people.
So it sounds like what you're saying is you agree with what I said about this question being a little unfair.
Well, no, I'm not saying it's unfair. I'm just saying that I think there's a visibility thing when it comes to when you make things iconic. And Nintendo has something about them that wherever con that you go to, wherever picture or person you follow or something, there's a cosplay or there's some kind of element of Nintendo in there. And at times you don't see much from other companies. Of course, you might see Sega with Sonic the Hedgehog and stuff, but you're not seeing people dressing up like Streets of Rage or Virtual Fighter or Contra.
Well, you know what? I say the reason why we don't see more diversity in cosplaying is because people don't have imaginations when it comes to that. They immediately want to go to the popular stuff that's going to get them pictures and hits on Instagram and Facebook and stuff like that. Because I guarantee you, you let somebody guy or girl step out there and like Bayonetta cosplay, I'm going to take a picture of that.
Yeah, I mean.
I go for the or I even go for the more unique stuff. Like for example, like if somebody's cosplay is something that is not like a actual real character from Resident Evil, for example, but if they're doing something that's Resident Evil expired, it always gets my attention, because first thing I'm gonna be like, hey, who are you? I'm not gonna be like, oh, there's Link, oh, there's Sora, there's Roxas. I'm not gonna be like, I'm like, hey, who are you? I know what game you're from.
I can tell you that's Neo Geo. Because when you see people cosplay from Fatal Fury and all of that stuff, you would be like, what game? Which game from the Neo Geo?
As a kid and a teenager who poured so much of my parents' money in fighting games in the arcades, I know any Neo Geo fighting game character when I see one. I don't even have to ask. If anything, I have to ask, hey, what KOF is this one?
KOF Samurai Showdown or Fatal Fury. We won't talk about World Heroes. We let that be what it needs to be.
Hey, World Heroes 2 Jet was the best.
It was. David just like, I don't know what Neo Geo is. It's like, wait, huh?
No, man, I arcade fighting game. I didn't like a fighting game until Smash Brothers on 64.
And that's not a fighting game.
Yeah. Well, we can argue about that another time.
We actually have had that discussion about the communities about that. Last thing,
even the creator of Smash Bros. is not a fighting game.
But I will say that I think because we're looking forward to the Metroid Anniversary. We're looking forward to the Zelda. We got Mario 35th, the year of Luigi that happened. I mentioned, the Nintendo Direct is going to be 10 years. There's something about Nintendo when they do their anniversaries, whether they release a game or not or something. I think it's just something to remind people that, hey, it has been a year, or it has been some time, and we have all of these great titles and stuff that you guys could play or remember and stuff. And we just want to celebrate it like that. I would love for more of a celebration from Sony and Microsoft for their titles and stuff. Of course, they could do a sale and re-release, but I would love to see more of. I guess communities sometimes coming together and celebrating more of the anniversaries over other people, like they do Nintendo and stuff.
We got the Master Chief collection.
Yeah, I think I mean, we got the Nathan Drake collection. We've we just have to see, because I mean, also, David, you said it earlier, like Sony and Microsoft have a different focus, versus Nintendo, and things like that. I want to ask you guys a question real quick before we wrap up this topic, because we do have some 35th anniversaries happening this year. What is an announcement for the 35th anniversary for either one, Metroid or Zelda, that you would love to see this year?
So for Metroid, I would love to see Super Metroid Remake. I would love to see that more designed.
See, you need to get off my Twitter page, because I already said that.
I've been saying that for years. I've actually I had got to a point where I felt like Super Metroid was kind of old and it needs to be refreshed. And I think it definitely, with Samus Return on 3DS, proved that they could do it. I would love to see Super Metroid Remake.
Honestly, when I saw them roll out Metroid Fusion, I swore that freaking Super Metroid was coming next.
Yeah. For Zelda, I think I know David's gonna get on me about a Majora's Mask, so I won't say that.
I'll get on you for Majora's Mask. Like, I didn't even play the N64 Zelda games, because they're.
I think I would love to see Majora's Mask probably get a remaster and have 2 modes where you don't have to do the time mechanic or something like that. David is already,
and that is the game.
I know, but like I explained, ever since I played Ocarina of Time, I love exploring that world and taking my time, and I couldn't do it with Majora's Mask. But if they gave me that option that I could just explore and don't have to worry about time or anything, I probably would grab more of an appreciation for it. Don't get me wrong. I already posted that if I see artwork for Majora's Mask, I'm straight buying it. I would post it. Like I love Zelda. Trust me. But just that particular game. Last but not least, Zelda 2 Remake. That has to happen. I need that game redone, relocalized. Come on, Treehouse. Come on, whoever wants to do it. That game. Grazzo, take it. You did phenomenal with Link's Awakening. Go ahead and remake Link 2, Grazzo. Just remake the game and fix it. And don't give me a butter knife. Give me a sword.
All right. Well, I guess I like your idea about Link 2, Ed. I would say that one as well. As far as Zelda goes, there's 2 things that I really want in the anniversary. I want a randomizer for the original NES and SNES games, because particularly for Link to the Past, like, I have that game just memorized so much that I have to give a year off in between playing it. And I don't like, I would love to have something where, Nintendo gives a little bit more control over the, with the community. That the other thing that I really want is finally a dungeon builder for Zelda. I think it'd be great that, just like we have Super Mario Maker, to have a dungeon maker for Zelda. I think with a multiplayer feature and to be able to share online, I think would be awesome.
Did you ever play?
I think they tried to do that with Link's Awakening.
Yeah.
I think they tried. They just haven't realized.
Okay.
Did you?
Yeah. It was okay. Yeah. They didn't have a good way of sharing the dungeons, which severely limited it. And they also had set rooms. I want where you can really design the rooms from scratch.
Did you play the first Legend of Zelda? Like, did you put the code in and put it in the Japanese version where they made it more difficult? Because they changed everything in that game.
Are you talking about the
second quest?
I'm actually playing Second Quest right now on NES Online.
Okay.
I've never fully beaten the
I remember as a kid playing Second Quest, and it was frustrating because, like, my mind had been set with how the game was the first time, and oh my god. But that's, what, honestly, I can't go back to the original Legend of Zelda. They're going to have to remake that one for me to play it again. My picks though would actually be a Legend of Zelda remake, like in the vein of Link's Awakening. I've always loved the top-down like 2.5D
2D.
perspective of the Zelda games, which is why I flocked in Link's Awakening so quickly. It's the main reason why I have a hard time playing with the more modern Zelda games, because I don't know, I just feel like Zelda should have always been like that. And yeah, I know, like, the games have to evolve and stuff like that. It's me. I'm the problem, not Zelda. I'm the problem.
I don't actually. I think we might get a new 2D Zelda this year too. I have a suspicion because
You think it's gonna be like a brand new, or you think it's gonna be a?
Yeah, I do. Because I think that they have separate development teams that work on the 2D games and the 3D games. So we'll see. Because the other thing, really quickly, for Anniversaries, I would love to see all Pokemon games from the Game Boy era end up on a virtual console. It's the 35th anniversary of Pokemon as well.
They just need to start bringing Game Boy Advance and DS titles to the virtual console.
Everybody just want them to bring the whole handheld catalogs from like all systems. Boy, Advance, DS, and 3DS.
Hey, it's a 30th anniversary of Street Fighter.
I don't know. We can kind of leave Game Boy stuff, where it's at.
No.
In my opinion, I mean, I put a lot of mileage on my Game Boy back in high school. I put a lot of mileage on it.
A lot of people miss Super Mario Land and the 6 golden coins. Like, people miss that, and I think they really need to play that, like, and stuff like that. So, well, everybody, that has been our Doc Mode. We kind of want to know what you guys think of what's like Nintendo franchise or game makes it so exceptional to you, that's so special, and why do you think other companies can't create that same magic? You can email us at nintendopowblock@gmail.com or at buzzwishgamespro@gmail.com. We want to know what you guys think. Now, everybody, by the time we get to the end, we're playing with power. David, what have you been playing with power?
So I think I shared this a little bit last week, but my daughter's birthday was on Saturday, and because she couldn't have like a real birthday party, we had an Animal Crossing birthday party, and so we, early in the morning, I got up and set up a party on her island, and then all of her friends came over to her island and brought, Animal Crossing gifts, and we had like a fishing competition, and it was great. So I spent a lot of time playing Animal Crossing this week, just building stuff and getting ready for it. And then, as I mentioned earlier, I've been playing Second Quest on the original Legend of Zelda, and my God, video games used to be hard. Like, I sometimes forget how hard games used to be.
Yeah.
And I mean, I played it all growing up, but I just don't remember it I feel like have my skills like withered, it was just, so those are the two that I've been up to this week.
All right. LeRon, what have you been playing with power?
Well, I mean, the Monster Hunter Rise demo, like, it's still chugging along. Like I mentioned on Saturday on the Boss Rush podcast that I started going in and messing with the settings in the options menu, and like I'm actually starting to like tweak it to where like it feels more and more like Monster Hunter World to me, and because you and Dan remember like 2 Sundays ago I was cussing up a storm about that camera.
Yeah.
I was cussing up a storm about that camera, and I was also cussing up a storm about like it seemed like hit detection was kind of off, So it was, yeah. I've been messing around with it more and more, and actually, I'm starting to tweak it to my style of gameplay. So yeah, like it's really gonna be fun, Especially now, it's the only game I have to worry about releasing on this release date because Returnal for PS5 got pushed back.
It's bonkers, dude. Like. Yeah. So just to let everybody know, we get Super Mario 3D World this Friday. We get Bravely Default coming. I think there's another game that's coming in this month that I gotta check. March is March is Monster Hunter Rise. April is Returnal. May is Resident Evil 8 and Mass Effect Legendary Collection. So we got some top games, and then we still got indies and whatever Nintendo wants to do, because we still don't know what Nintendo got up their sleeve and everything.
I think the 21st is when we can expect an announcement. That's the official anniversary of Zelda. So,
of February or March? Oh,
February.
Okay. Breath of the Wild 2, please come through, Nintendo. Come through.
I need to play Breath of the Wild, which I do have for the Switch, and just have never started it.
LeRon has a list of games that he needs to start.
Yeah. I'm bad, and the sad part is now that I'm part of the Boss Rush conglomerate now. Like I don't know where I'm going to find time to play video games. Like I'm planning, I'm planning shows, I'm hosting shows, I'm being on shows, and it's like man, like I'm looking at my Switch, and my Switch is looking at me like you want this.
And here I over here just buying games, and I was like,
I don't know how you do it, man.
Dude. And then everybody get on me that I'm playing like 9 games a week and stuff. Be like, hey, wait, ain't that what we're supposed to do?
Ed, what are you playing with Power?
So what I'm playing with Power, so I have a game called Binary Infection or something like that. It's a 2D kind of shoot 'em up. It's an indie game. It's bunkers hard. It's like 8 missions, but when you shoot enemies, the screen shakes. And it moves back. So every time that you're shooting and defeating enemies, it shakes up the thing. So it kind of messes you up and everything. It's a really fun game. It looks like Downfall, where it's monochrome with a little red in it. So that's what I'm playing on there. For Xbox, because this is kind of also Nintendo, I'm playing Doom Eternal. I'm not liking it. I'm not liking it. I think I see now why Animal Crossing destroyed it when it first came out, sale wise, and I continue to see why it's dominating. Like I'm probably still going to get Doom Eternal on Switch, but I think I'm gonna wait for a sale, just because I got the regular Doom and I want the collection. It's a boring FPS. I'm not wowed by it at all, so. And Cyber Shadow I finished. You guys can read on bossrushgames.com. I have my review up there, and I have a score. You guys give it a check. I do recommend people getting this game, and I hope it gets a physical version because it is so good. Some people are shocked that I said it's easier than Ninja Gaiden. Like it's literally easier. Like you can complete this game within 8 hours. Depending on your first try, you can do it shorter if you do it like a New Game Plus or a second file because you know what to do and where things are at.
Wait. A game like Ninja Gaiden, you can beat in 8 hours? Like, I mean, I can beat Ninja Gaiden in like 1 hour.
It's a little bit challenging. Because you learn it, they have like they don't have like they have pits and stuff, but at some point in time they have some traversal where you got to be in the air for a lot of it. You can't touch the ground, and so if you touch the ground, there's a lot of spikes, and it's the one hit kill. So the stuff that you hate in Mega Man, LeRon, is that in that game. And
well, here's my thing. You're a robot. There's no way a spike is supposed to like just destroy you immediately. I mean, is it like a nuclear fusion infused like spike or something? Because there's no way. There's no way like a robot like Mega Man just points his finger at a spike and he's dead.
It's
EMP spike,
and it has checkpoints that are probably about 7 to 8 minutes apart from each other, so you'll have to go about 5 to 6 screens in order to get to that checkpoint. If you die, you restart to that last checkpoint and got to do all of it over.
Oh, see, I'm glad I got that game on Game Pass. Like, if it seems like it feels like I do not need to spend money on this game because I would be mad.
It's worth the price if you play it on Game Pass. Yeah. So, but that's what I'm playing with Power. That everybody, we have come to the end of the show. Man, that was a good discussion that we had with it. Before we actually get into our plugs, I have a special shout out. We got some exciting news, Nintendo fans. One of our co-hosts, Galatrad, will be doing a special birthday stream on February 11th from 10 p.m. to 6 p.m. or 10 a.m. to 6 p.m. He wrote it wrong. CST time. That would be followed by a 24-hour live stream of Super Mario 3D World plus Bowser's Fury on February 12th, starting at midnight. Galatrap will be giving away 1 copy of Super Mario 3D World plus Bowser's Fury for Nintendo Switch. To enter into the giveaway, all you have to do is follow Galatrap on Twitch, but you can get 5 extra entries by subscribing. Twitch Prime subscriptions count too. Please check him out at twitch.tv/Galutrad, Galutrad, on the 11th and 12th of February. Wahoo! Let's go! So everybody, do check out Galutrad's stream. Go follow him and support him and enjoy the stream. I'm going to be playing Mario 3D World because I'm off this weekend and I cannot wait. I just cannot wait.
So that game's out this weekend.
Friday, yes.
I gotta figure out what I'm gonna do.
So, what you gonna say, LeRon?
No, I'm right now. I'm still trying to figure out. Like, I'm not 100% like sold on this game yet. I'm not. But that's also because like Mario games are like the furthest flung games that I am with Nintendo now. Like, I mean, I'd rather spend my time on Zelda and Metroid than Mario. I feel like Mario's gotten to the point where it's almost too big to fail now. There's so many varied ways of Mario. You've got Mario Maker. You've got Mario All-Star. Not All-Star. What is it?
3D All-Star.
The new Super Mario. The new Super Mario Brothers. Yeah, you got. Which I love that. I love that genre of Mario. The new Super Mario Brothers. I love it. Yeah, because it's more the classic style. But once it evolved, because Nintendo 64, Mario 64, like once it evolved off of that, I've had the hardest time getting into it. So I really have to think about this one.
In other words, Power Block and hopefully other gamers for Boss Rush Games, just peer pressure around and they'll get it.
Knowing my luck, Dan's gonna be working on me because he worked on me to get freaking Fire Emblem when I was like, I'm not getting it until it goes on sale, and then it went on sale after
David,
I bought it.
I would never understand this. I tell people to get games, they be like, no, I'm not gonna get it. Someone else mentioned the same stuff that I say, they be at the store buying the game. I don't understand why. I don't understand.
You want to know why? It's because you're like Nintendo Superfan 99. That's why. It's too much enthusiasm.
Well, we're going to get into our plugs. LeRon, where can we find you?
You can catch me on social media at Exodus803. That's EXODUS 803. That's also my Twitch handle. Please check me out there. As a matter of fact, tomorrow night, 8 p.m. Eastern Standard Time, me, Place Austin, and Planet Nelly will be on Crossroads, the PlayStation podcast for Boss Rush Games.
Yes, guys, become a stationary and check them out. David, where can we find you?
Yeah, you can find me at David Lasby on Twitter. Also over at ZeldaDungeon.net, where I want to plug an article that I got coming out tomorrow, an interview with Ed for Black History Month. So everybody go check that out. I'm really excited about that. There'll also be the interview will air on Boss Rush Games as well tomorrow. And then also over at themighty.com is where I write articles about pop culture and mental health.
Yes. You guys can find me on Twitter at ThatBretcherCode. You can check me out on Optional Opinion, on SoundCloud and other podcast apps. Check me more at Boss Rush Games with Talk the Walk, Recap, Nintendo Power Block, Boss Rush Podcast, and other podcasts and entertainment that we do here. And also check me out at World 101 Podcast. If you guys go to my Twitter page, you will see all my information for Xbox, PlayStation, and Switch. Also, everybody, we are going to be getting ready for our Zelda discussion for March, so we do want you guys to kind of tune in and send us your thoughts about the Zelda series. We're going to be covering the handhelds, the consoles, and different games, and celebrating the Legend of Zelda. So guys, come to Boss Rush Games and check it out. Also, my Cyber Shadow review is on BossRushGames.com. And also go check out Corey's Standard Definition on at I Am Corey HD on YouTube. Go give us some love and support too. With that, everybody, have a great day, have a great weekend, and we will see you next time on Nintendo Power Block. Bye, everybody. Woohoo!
Take care.
Night.